Right. I'm just going to close this. Okay, excellent. So, when we decided to do an online Pilates course, we knew that there were going to be some people that would go, oh, how can you do something like that online? And so we looked at all the different kinds of online training, and then obviously we had already done Of-CourseOnline with all the continued education that we have. And I've been teaching this Pilates mat course since 2004 and the equipment course since 2004. And I've been on so many courses myself, and I knew what would I have liked to learn back then in one fell swoop in one course. And how can I merge these things together and make it super cool online, so that you feel like it doesn't matter that I'm not sitting in the classroom doing this with them, because just watching on the screen, I'm getting so much info. The feedback we've gotten up until now is they love the online because they can always go back to it. They can always go back and have a look. What was it again in module 3, video 4, when she was talking about the shoulder? Let me go look at that again. And we've gone above and beyond to make sure that the online visuals are amazing. So if you've done any courses before and you studied personal training, or you did any kind of Pilates course or anything like that, even in university, you would have learned the anatomy, and there might have been something on a big screen or a little picture. In this course, we've decided that as we mention the anatomy and we teach the anatomy, it actually comes up on the screen and it stays there and it shows you the important points. We've got the skeleton that we're working with it, and then we've got the individual doing the movements in relation to the anatomy that you've just learned, as well as explaining what these movements should be feeling like. For me, the biggest thing when I was doing a Pilates course was we learned the exercises, and we weren't always 100% sure what the point of the exercises were. And in Pilates, some of the exercises look super fancy, and some of them aren't even functional. Nobody drops down in the spa and does a rollover or a jackknife, you know? So it's not the most functional things, but it looks really good, and it's really fun to do because it takes your body out of its comfort zone, and it makes you do moves that you would have never done before. But not everybody is able to do everything. And that is super important. If we think that we have to put billions of people into one Pilates box and enable them to do every single exercise, we're going to fail at that task, because every individual has a different body type. They have a different spine. They have their own restrictions. Some are hyper flexible. Some aren't as flexible. And when we get these individuals and we try to force them to do the normal Pilates repertoire, we take their bodies to ranges that it cannot go to, and people do get injured when you have an instructor that does not understand the true biomechanics of the body, the anatomy that is involved in these exercises, and why we chose these exercises. So when we look at all of the Pilates repertoire, our main goal is not just to give you exercises and this is the teaser, this is the rollover, this is jackknife, go and play, make sure that your clients can do it. If they can't, move on to the next thing. We try and create instructors that can think for themselves, that can modify exercises to suit the people in their class, and who can possibly come up with new ideas. Because if you look at a Pilates mat course and you look at, in our course, you learn 80 exercises, because we also do the foam roller, we do the TheraBand, we do the magic circle, and we look at the ball. And if you look at that, learning 80 exercises, and to do 80 exercises for the next 30 years becomes incredibly boring. So we want you to understand the biomechanics of the body. We want you to understand the anatomy that's involved in all of the exercises. Something that's been really interesting to me is to see what the industry thinks out there. And there's a lot of people that feel a Pilates instructor does not need to know their anatomy. For me, if I teach movement, I want to know what is moving me. If my client is compensating, I want to know why this person is compensating and why that one did not compensate. If I say I'm delivering a client-specific session, I need to know what my client needs. If I say they need hip stability, because Pilates is supposed to give us that overall look and understanding and movement of the body and strength, there are exercises that you can use to target hip stability. There's exercises that you can use to target spinal articulation and movement. So we went and we came up with, well, not came up, but we assessed 5 basic movement principles. And we base our sessions on getting our clients to achieve those 5 movement principles, that being spinal articulation and isolation, hip flexor abdominal coordination, hip dissociation, the mind-body connection, and shoulder-free movement and stability. And when we can bring those movement principles into the body, and we bring Pilates into it, and we bring anatomy, and we bring biomechanics, and we bring the feeling of movement, we really become a holistic movement teacher. One thing that was always missing for me, and I come from a dance background, was when somebody taught me an exercise, they couldn't tell me what it should feel like. There was no feeling in it. And one of the biggest things that we really focus on in this course, and there's a full module, module 5 is focused on body assessments and how to teach. And that was fundamental for me. When I was traveling overseas and presenting courses, I was dealing with instructors who'd been teaching for 15, 20 years. And when they teach, it sounds like this. I don't hear anything. And there's silence. And everybody's moving. And I'm thinking, where's the feeling? Where's the oomph that I can give it? Where's the relaxation? How can I push this individual to work harder? I was working earlier today with a professional paddler. So we're focusing, he's got thoracic outlet syndrome on his left shoulder, and we're focusing on shoulder stability. And I'm having him do the most basic types of movements. It's not complicated, but the cueing that I give him makes that exercise so intense, and I'm with him every repetition of the way. So when I see he's caving in and he can't hold on anymore, just through the use of my voice, I can get him to hang on for those last 2 repetitions, just making that session so much more effective. Bringing elements into Pilates, such as time under tension, really understanding eccentric and concentric muscle contractions and control versus loading a muscle, and how this can really make the Pilates more enhanced. So we're not looking at the Pilates course that we would have done many years ago, and many that are still happening today. We've taken it and we've made it explode. We wanted to make it bigger, we wanted to make it better, and we want the instructor to feel intelligent. Our biggest client base when it comes to these courses is physiotherapists, biokineticists, that's in South Africa, that's sort of on the sports science rehabilitation side. Pilates instructors redoing training through this course, quite a few of them, especially in America. I'm not sure why, that's quite interesting. People who want to change in career, people who just want to try something completely new. Strange, during lockdown, it was so interesting for me to see that the careers where people had studied for years and years and years, spent a fortune on, were the careers that were just put on hold. And the fitness industry was able to go, look what we can do. And we went online. The online classes that we've been teaching has been truly phenomenal. We've loved it. We can do one-on-one with our clients. We sit here, we have them on the screen, we correct them as we go along, but the cueing is the most important, and how you talk a client through the exercise. So when we teach an instructor how to teach, and you'll see in this specific Pilates mat course, I do 3 demonstrations. The one is the one that we see quite often, which is the silent, not much happening, everybody's moving, go for a pulse, keep going, and there's just nothing happening. The second one is not a bad sort of demonstration. I will employ that one because I can work with that one and get them there. This one, the first one, who just doesn't want to engage and won't step up to this plate, I can't work with that because I know that this is damaging to client retention. If you want to retain your clients and you want to increase your client base, it's not about getting the people in. It's about the people that you have, keeping them for 18 to 20 years. And how do we do that? It's up to us and how we deliver our classes. If I say to you today's class is focused on scapular stability, is focused on spinal articulation, throughout that class, I'm going to be making mention of it. I'm going to be telling you that this exercise, remember I said in the beginning now, I want you to find serratus anterior when I load your shoulder. I'm going to load your shoulder now and I'm going to see its ability to hold you in that position. And we're going to do a Pilates exercise. So that is how we can merge all of this together. If I look at the manual that we put together for this course, and I'm going to show you a quick clip of that now, it's extensive. We spent over 700 hours of editing for this course. And that's why when people say, how can you do an online Pilates mat course? You just have to see the videos, you just have to see the manual, and then hopefully you'll just... We are so grateful that the American Council on Exercise has assessed the entire course. They love it. So this will be their Pilates mat course that they then offer to their members worldwide. And I think if you actually get to experience how much time and effort and explanation has gone into this, you'll see that if I had to go back 22 years when I did my training, this course has everything in that I did not get and everything that I felt I really needed. There was a point where I felt like I was bored. I couldn't teach another pelvic curl. I just thought, oh, I can't keep doing this. And I started studying interior architecture. And then I felt pregnant. And then I was like, oh, and people were working with crayons and paints around me. And my sense of smell was just, I was just like, this is not going to work. And 20 years ago, when I started teaching Pilates, then already, I thought to myself, there has to be more. Because I've done my dancing, I've learned the repertoire, but how can we bring this and science and anatomy together? So we went to the university in South Africa, and we went and ran EMG tests, and we did a specific study on how can your teaching technique affect EMG results, in other words, muscle activation. How can tweaking a compensation by understanding the muscles involved affect a muscle's activation? And we did that. We've got a file about this thick of those EMG tests that we did, and it was 85% positive on the results, saying just through the way that we cue, just through educating the person that we're teaching about what should be stabilizing them now to be able to perform this movement better, we got better muscle activation results. And that's what we're after. We think people are stupid. So we think if we're training somebody and they're an accountant, they don't want to learn about the muscles of the body. Well, we're wrong. Because when we have an individual, and you get different types of personalities, and we even delve into that in this course. Who are you dealing with? What have they been through? What is their stress levels? Are they perfectionistic in everything that they do? And how will you adjust your method of teaching depending on who's walking into your facility or who you're dealing with online? The clients who are that A-type personality, everything has to be perfect. They put their shoes down like this in the pigeonholes. They pull their shirt straight. They lie down and they're highly stressed. When they come to me, my entire approach changes. And I go, hi, how are you? Come and lie on your back on the foam roller with me. And they'll come and they'll be lying like this and I'll go, take a deep, deep inhale. And I want you to really expand your ribcage. Hold it. Exhale, gently blowing all the air out. When I'm dealing with somebody who I need to really push a little bit more, maybe they are in a specific sport and we're doing sport-specific training, then my intensity changes completely. I'll say pulling those elbows away from you. You can do it. Keep your chest away. We're just doing a push-up, by the way, just Pilates push-up. And I'll be going, I need you to really keep that chest away, putting the elbows down. Don't drop into those shoulders. Come on, you're dropping into those shoulders. Pull that elbow further away from you. You've got it. You've got it. Hold it. It's perfect. And pressing yourself all the way up. And why do I do that? Basically, I'm letting that client know that I know exactly what it feels like. So now we're not only looking at anatomy, we're not only looking at normal repertoire, we're also looking at our own skills and techniques and how we can get these messages across better. We did relaxation bliss classes in the lockdown. I did those absolutely free. I felt like everybody needed to relax and I loved it so much. Funny, after doing the relaxation class, I was so hungry. I'm like, I'm supposed to feel relaxed and I'm starving. So I just go and be like, I need to eat now. But if you had to see me teach a relaxation class, and then you saw me teach a high intensity Pilates class, or a rehab stabilizing Pilates class, you would see 3 different styles and techniques of teaching. So I myself as a teacher adapt myself to the client that's coming in. Why do I do this? This is how we retain clients. This is how we build up our database. This is how we create a brand for ourselves. And this is how we get people referring to us all the time. I have an 80-year-old client who refuses to train with anybody else. So I take her online and she's still at my studio in Pretoria and I'm living in Cape Town. And when you see me teach her, it's different. I'm loving and caring and kind. I'm hoping I'm always kind, but I'm definitely more loving and caring with her. And I listen to what she needs and I understand where she can sit and where she can't sit. We do an entire online class on a chair and her bed because I know she can't get down to the floor without me there. So I'm always there to help her. And I know getting up on the floor is a bit tricky because she's got osteoarthritis in her knees and it's actually changed the shape of her knees. So what are you going to learn from the Pilates Unlimited mat course? We're going to learn how to do client-specific delivery teaching, client-specific training, and we're going to bring muscles, biomechanics into the world of Pilates. And then it feels like you are giving way more than what you thought you could. And the one thing for me that I've always wanted is to have purpose. If I give a class and it doesn't feel like I delivered like I should have, I actually feel guilty. I think to myself, geez, I could have definitely done better. I've always got to feel like I have something to give, and on this planet, I have a purpose. And if my purpose was to connect to somebody in New York and really get them to do better triathlons, then that was my purpose. And I can't sit on this side and just sort of give these sort of half-baked, we're going to go with the flow. One thing that caught me quite a bit was when I had a client coming from another studio, and they would just start a Pilates sequence. They would just go into it, and then they'll hop onto the reformer and they want to go do leg and footwork. And I'd say, what are you doing? No, we're going to do leg and footwork now. No, we're not going to do leg and footwork now. Please get that routine out of your head. Why don't I want you to have that routine? Because then you don't need me. Then you can go buy yourself a reformer and do it at home. I am here to give you variety. I am here to watch you move and teach you how to move better. So, right, I think that gives you a short idea of what I'm busy looking at over here. Right, so I wanted to show you the manual that gets sent to you, and it's only downloadable once for obvious reasons. We put so much effort into it. We don't want it to be forwarded to a whole bunch of people all over. It's really beautiful. I had an artist draw our anatomy sketches in there, and the other sketches we actually bought. So I said to her, I need a skeleton, but I don't want a normal skeleton. I want it to be arty. Make that skeleton stand in a really cool position. We all know what the anatomy man looks like, and you'll see the anatomy man in the videos. But when we're looking at the skeleton and you're doing your art, just make it look really good. And you'll see this design behind me is one of the sketches that she actually drew for us. So yeah, we've really gone the extra mile with that. The manual is divided into 5 different modules, and in each module we're focusing on certain things, and in each module we have theory and we have practical repertoire. So you'll see one module will have 6 videos, I think one of them has 5 videos, but one module will have 6 videos. The first 3 videos is going to be theory, but it's not going to feel like theory because you're going to have your manual, you're going to be watching us tell you what we're learning and explaining it and having a body move at the same time. When we talk about hip flexor abdominal coordination, we demonstrate it for you. When we talk about shoulder disassociation and free movement, we demonstrate it and explain it to you, even though it's part of theory. And then we switch over in the 3 videos after that to practical Pilates repertoire. What do we do differently in our repertoire? That was fundamental for this course. I was like, we have to do this. If I do interviews with instructors to work at the studio, one of the things that they've always struggled with was, how do I change an exercise if a client feels it here and they should be feeling it there? Or if they feel their back working and it's not supposed to be in their back now. So every single Pilates exercise that you learn on this course, we teach you the most basic Pilates exercise, the true exercise. Then we teach you modified versions of the exercise. Everything is 3 modifications. An easier version is the person on top of the Cadillac. Then we have a more challenging version, which is the person on the box. And then we have a truly challenging version, which is the person on the mat. So out of 1 Pilates exercise, you get 3 more, dependent on who your client is. And that means I can start you on the Cadillac version, I can take you to the middle version, and in a couple of months, I'm hoping I can put you on that floor version. And it's 3 different people that are doing the exercise at exactly the same time. So you can compare it and you can go, oh yes, that does look easier. That's definitely more challenging. And we explain with every exercise why this exercise becomes easier in this version, why it's more challenging in this version, and why this is the most challenging. What I love is the individuals who are in the course have their own restrictive movements. So you'll see in the course, I would have assisted Brad, for example, with an arc to sit on when we're doing sitting leg lifts, because I know his hamstrings will not cope with him sitting with his legs straight out in front of him. And when I have his legs straight out in front of him, all he focuses on is how much his hip flexors are dying and how much effort is in those quadriceps. And the exercise is not for that. I'm trying to do something completely different. So I modify the movement or assist the movement for him. And then the focus is exactly where it must be. For other people, you'll see Shelly, and Shelly is the one I was talking about earlier, who has an incredible dance background and she looks the part. Everything seems to seem so easy for her. The movements flow, the feet are pointed, the arms flow beautifully. And then we have another individual who's a little bit less pointy with their feet, struggles a little bit more with the flow of movement. So we didn't have 3 dancers doing Pilates on the Cadillac, on the box, and on the floor, because it's not realistic. But we wanted to show you what it would look like, the same exercise on 3 different bodies, because we expect it to be a certain way, but it does not turn out that way. Okay, so that was super, super important for us. The other thing that we go into a lot is not just the repertoire and the exercise, but we show the compensations, which is super important, that everybody always makes. So we show what will happen when they make a mistake. So if I'm here, for example, and let's say I'm going to do single leg stretch, and I've got my legs over there, 90 degrees, and we go into single leg stretch. One of the compensations that everybody makes is as they do this, their abdominals don't have the strength to hold that pubic symphysis in place. And because it doesn't have that strength, they immediately drop in their back. They go into an anterior tilt, or they arch, and they lower their chest down. But before we even start that exercise with them, us as instructors know that that is a possibility. So we will immediately say, as that leg goes out, I want those abdominals to pull that pubic bone through. And I want those abdominals to hold that pubic bone. Don't drop it down. Be careful of dropping it down. And we'll teach you that as soon as they drop that pelvis back, you know the rectus abdominis, the blocks and the obliques, stopped controlling the pubic symphysis. It stopped controlling the pelvis, because it was meant to stabilize the pelvis. We also look at if they are doing, you'll see in a lot of Pilates courses and classes, the instructor will say, okay, we're going to do a single leg lift. And this exercise seems so bizarre. It's like, what am I doing? I'm just lifting the leg up and down. But there's a lot of thought that goes into this, and it's one of the most basic movements because we're teaching the hip to dissociate. And when we teach the hip to dissociate, it is an extremely functional movement because this is when we run, we walk, and when we do all of our kinds of sports. But the instructor will say, as you lift this leg, I need you to stabilize so that your pelvis doesn't change. And all these years, we would just hear stabilize, and then the client will just go, and they'll just grip on with everything and hope something works. We like to educate them, and we'll say, as you lift the right leg up, I need your left side's obliques, that's these muscles over here, to hold this hip back, and then you're going to lift this leg up. If you drop your pelvis back, you push this foot into the floor, or you tucked your pelvis by letting go of your lower back muscles. So I need you to think of holding this side's obliques, keeping the lower back slightly engaged, and boom, you've got a beautiful, stable movement. It takes a little bit more effort from the instructor, but our clients are not stupid. They can pick it up, they can understand it, and they can totally do it. When we're looking at dissociating or spinal articulation, we look at people who are training their backs and everything is one movement. They're just doing normal back extension. How do we get them to actually work into spinalis? How do we get them to do that segmental spinal extension? And that's all in the cueing. And we're looking at what anatomy are we working at that point and why. A lot of our Pilates exercises to work the back are lying prone. So we're going to be lying on our tummies and we're going to be lifting our back up. We're going to teach you in this course why not everybody is great at lying prone. What restrictions stop them from being able to do this movement effectively? Why every single time they do that kind of back extension, they never feel thoracic spine kick in? Why do they just feel lumbar? And possibly, why do they feel the lumbar back extensors more on the one side than the other side? Above all of that, what we're really trying to do is to get people to learn more about their bodies. So us as Pilates instructors have the opportunity to teach an individual about how their body moves. And that's really when they start loving your way of teaching, because they pay for that hour. And it's the worst thing for me if I go and I pay for an hour and the instructor's on the phone, or they tell me to run on the treadmill, and then they start talking to me about their weekend. And I'm thinking, I think I'm at like VT3, and I can't talk, and you want me to answer you on what you're busy saying. You're not focusing on me. So we want to teach instructors to be mindful, to really give their clients 110% on really moving better. We're looking at exercise for longevity. It's probably one of the best forms of cross-training, which is the Pilates, because it's so adaptable to everybody. If you think you're working with the people who are exceptionally strong and sporty, and you're working with individuals who are 80 years old. We've dealt with a few Ironman competitors, and they've always said to us, they can run, they can cycle, they can swim. The worst session of the week is their Pilates session, because we watch their alignment. And why alignment is important in our course particularly is because the EMG tests show that the muscle activation is so much stronger in the primary movers when the body is in better alignment. And that's what's important. So I wanted to show you something here quickly. I have it ready for you. Let me just find it. There we go. 2 seconds. So this is the manual that you're actually going to either print, or you're actually going to save it on another sort of device and follow it. You'll see those beautiful images that we had drawn there. They're definitely nobody's body. And that's also a beautiful sketch that we had, and that's where we delve into postures. But we also teach you that trying to fit billions of people into 5 postures is virtually impossible. We want to look at postures from a client-specific perspective and understand their body and movement. This is the exercise breakdown manual. So there you'll see we give you the exercise, the objectives, what the sequence is, the do nots, because that's important. We need to know what they must not do. And then on the other side, we do the observe and encourage. And that's really what is super important for us, is to be able to get us to just understand the movements better and to understand that repertoire better. That's super, super important. Here is an example of, so let me just get it for you quickly. If you want to know how this whole thing works and how the manual works, I just want to share this screen with you. Let me check if it's this one. Is it this one? Yes, it is. Okay. So this is your guide to how it works. And this is before you even get to the manual. It's explaining absolutely everything for you. It's explaining to you, it's saying to you, welcome, you're going to go on an amazing adventure now. We've got such a good team that works together with all the branding and everything. And here it explains starting my course. And it says there, the process is really simple. And there it explains the 5 different modules that you're looking at. And module 5 is literally dedicated to how to teach. And these modules are covering all of the anatomy. Module 1 to 4 is covering all of the anatomy and all of the repertoire. So you're looking at 27 videos that are just over an hour long each. And then it's explaining to you apprentice hours. So when we become Pilates instructors, often we start building hours. And if you already have a Pilates course under the belt, we reduce those hours considerably if you just send us the hours that you have already done. We just did that for one of our students in New York, just to help her out because she's been teaching for years and she just really wanted to learn what we were doing. It explains to you what are you looking for observation hours. That's when you're watching. But what's really nice on our website is we have loads of videos for you to observe in the student portal. So you've got a student portal with student resources where you go and do your course. And that is in your own personal profile. And in that profile, there is a watch observation videos. And you just go and watch videos as many as you want, as many times as you want, to see how we teach and how we make these classes interesting. And then you're obviously going to do the exercises yourself and get to train yourself. And then you're going to teach This is the exciting part. So the theory is really easy to get under the belt because that's just theory. And we've got all of these resources in there where you've got a student apprentice sheet, you've got an exercise sheet when you actually do the exercises yourself, and we've got a teaching sheet when you actually teach the exercises yourself, and then here is the exam. I don't want to say it's easy, but it is easy to do and fairly quick to do. It's an online theory exam, which is multiple choice. It's a really beautiful exam because it's got the most stunning imagery in there where we combine the theory that you've learned with the anatomy. So the anatomy images will be there. And then you've got a practical exam. And this is the part that I think everybody's the most nervous for. And it's not even as bad as it used to be in the studio, because in the studio, we'd sit there staring at you and you would have to then go and do your practical exam. With this online one, you get to upload your videos, just making it so much easier. And this is the cool part. It tells you exactly what we're looking at when you are actually teaching. And you can go through that list and see, well, what could I improve on? And we're open to receiving any kind of videos from you to say, listen, I actually need guidance with this. I don't know if I'm doing it well. Do I use my voice enough? What would you say I could, how could I explain the shoulder work differently? I'm struggling with the roll-up. This is important. A roll-up is a common Pilates exercise. If you don't know it, you're going to learn it in this course. And there's so few people that can do a roll-up properly. What we teach you in this course is why 60% of the people cannot do a roll-up properly, and it's okay. It's actually okay if you can't do a roll-up properly, because there's no policeman that says you have to perform a perfect Pilates roll-up. So we look at a Pilates roll-up, which is this exercise, where we have the arms above the head. Everything is in line. So we're going to teach people how to create really good movement in their body. You'll hear, if you ever see any of my classes, and I know we did it on one of our Facebook videos, we said fully extended knees. Because when you deal with the general population, they tend to do everything like this. There's just no energy. Everything is sort of half-baked. So as a Pilates instructor, we'll say, extend your knees, and then the client will give you that. And we'll say, come on, extend your knees. Come on, give me fully extended knees. Go for it, go for it. Yes, beautiful. Can you feel that kick in? That's why I want you to extend your knees. The men are always like, do I have to point my feet? Yes, you have to point your feet, because when you're older and your metatarsals have dropped onto the floor, you're going to wish you pointed your feet in your Pilates class. So we're just working the muscles under your feet so that they can get stronger and they can hold you for the rest of your days. But if we look at the roll-up, this is such a challenging exercise for so many people to do. And the reason they struggle with this is because of body proportions, shorter legs, longer bodies. Shorter legs and longer bodies literally make it almost impossible to do it really smoothly. Or bigger upper body and thinner legs. When the weight is this side and they have to come up, it makes it more challenging. When you've got nice long legs, it's easier for you to come up because the weight is staying on the side. And we take a normal roll-up, which looks exactly like I'm doing it now, which is actually an abdominal exercise, and then we start kicking into hip flexors, and then we stay over there and we curve all the way down. And in our mat course, we say, well, we don't want to do just that movement for the next 30, 40, 50 years. We really want to play with it, and we bring in elements of spinal articulation, moving the arms away from the center, making it a little bit more challenging. And then we might go inhale, exhale, bringing it up, re-stack, hands behind the head, rotate, and then curving down through the spine. So just really taking movement and making it feel good. So you'll see when we teach the repertoire, we're always saying, this is what it feels like. When you're doing a full ab series and you're doing exercise after exercise after exercise, you as the instructor, you know it's getting tough, because I'm hoping you're doing it too. So you can't be going and reach and higher and extend and 5 more, and somebody's doing double leg stretch and the arms and legs are moving away. And this is about to explode because it's working so much. So we just bring a little bit of oomph to it and we'll go and extend and reach. It's tough. Hold a little bit more. You've got 2 more. Reach and keep it. Hold it there for me. And you'll see they won't move. And you'll see it come up a little bit higher for me. Excellent. Now relax all the way down. So we're taking teaching, we're taking Pilates, we're taking the feeling, we're bringing science, we're bringing anatomy into one Pilates course where it's all done online. Your profile, if you decide that you want to delve in and go for it, when I did Pilates course and I wanted to redo it, I always had to pay to go and redo it. You don't have to do that here because your course is sitting there. So you can just always go and refer back to it and go, oh, let me just log into my profile again, go to my Pilates course, and what do I want to learn about today? Go in my manual and look at the index and go, oh yes, I definitely want to do hips. I want to see the repertoire that she did on hips. Let's go down there, find it on the video, and off you go. So you can always refer back to it without paying for it over and over and over again. We've also been asked why some people were totally shocked because our Pilates course doesn't cost an arm and a leg. Because I paid an arm and a leg for my Pilates course. And the answer was quite simple. We've put in the hours, we've put in the years, we've put in all of the research, and we know it's super expensive out there. And we want more people to be able to do this. That's super important for us. And the more affordable we make it for people, the more the chance is that we can get really fantastic instructors teaching and feeling passionate about what they do. That's the biggest thing. If you do a job and you can't bear the fact that your client is 10 minutes early and you're like, oh, I just needed a break. It's happened, especially when you're doing it and you're bored, then it's not a good sort of phase that you're in your career. This course, we want to give you motivation. We want to give you inspiration. We want you to go, oh, the fact that you are bow-legged, structural bow legs with an anterior and lateral pelvic tilt, I'm loving this. So you're not just a normal body, you've got some stuff. We break up pelvic tilts a lot. We show you with the most beautiful sort of visuals, pulling into the anterior tilt, that line comes out. We explain to you what's happening to the muscles of the body. We also explain to you that just because you're standing in that anterior tilt, where your clients actually stand like this, doesn't mean that you're going to train in that anterior tilt. You might actually lie flat on your back and start training in a posterior pelvic tilt. And we explain to you why your clients might actually do that and what their comfortable position is. We go into your skeleton and your sacroiliac joint. We show you the skeleton all over the place and explain to you why that posterior tilt really destabilizes that sacrum even more compared to a slightly anterior tilt. So there's just so much info that goes into this course, and we've done it in 27 videos, but it took us about, I don't know, way over 700 hours to get it up and running and going. So what I am going to do is I'm going to allow you to ask any questions that you might have. You can even just type it in the chat here at the bottom if there's anything that you want to ask. Something that I did want to say was you can either go for a once-off payment and just pay the course and never have to look back, or you'll see on the website there are payment options where you don't pay it all in one go. So we've done that for quite a few people as well, especially during this time, because we know not everybody has $600 just lying in their bank account waiting to be burnt. So we've absolutely done that. We also have for our students who are already doing this course, next week we have a webinar where they can ask questions. So they don't just get left like, go to the online course, finish it up, and then off you go. So they get to actually talk to us, ask us anything that they have. They can pre-email us any questions that they have, and we'll then address it for them next week. I just wanted to see here. Okay, all right. Right, Yanni. So we are South African. But our website is in dollars. And the reason it's in dollars is because our membership base is worldwide. And most of our members are actually from all over the globe. Nobody knows what a ZAR is. So nobody knows what a rand is or a ZAR is. I've even received an email saying, what is this strange African currency? So our website is in dollars and the course is $600. So you can just do the conversion on our website. There is a currency converter. So you can just go and do the conversion on there. If you go and have a look though, if you're already a member and you haven't bought anything, there is a welcome discount coupon that you actually get as soon as you register as a member. And it's a 20% discount. So if you're clever, you just go and use that discount to buy the course, and then you pay $480 for the math course. And then it's always there for you. Anybody have any other questions that they want to ask me?
Where is the website? I don't have the website address.
How did you register, Desiree? Did you register on Of-CourseOnline?
Yeah, on Facebook somehow.
Yes.
I don't ask me how.
Okay, don't worry. Do you know what I'll do? I will send you the link. It's on the site that you registered on, so it's on there.
Okay.
I'll be sure to send you the link so that you can find it easier. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Put it for you now in the chat here. Does anybody else have any other questions that they want to ask me? What I can tell you is we've been asked quite a bit, what is the difference with our Pilates versus other types of Pilates? Do we do neutral pelvis? That's a big question always, is do we do neutral? And neutral pelvis is where your hip bones and your pubic bone is actually in line with each other like that. And you're not tucking and you're not going into an anterior pelvic tilt. We do whatever is needed for the client and whatever is needed for the exercise. So we do want our clients to be able, neutral would be great, but some people can't get to neutral. Some people who have had specific spinal injuries cannot do neutral. Some people have had spinal operations and therefore they can't get to neutral. And when we force them in a neutral position, it just sort of irritates the spine and they're quite comfortable to be in a slight posterior pelvic tilt. So we go through that in the course all the time to say, this exercise is in neutral. Now I want you out of neutral, like we do with a roll-up. We also talk about adaptations of the body, which is a natural adjustment that your body makes, and it has no choice when you're doing a movement. For example, I'll give you one example, then I'll let you guys go, because I'm teaching just now. Okay, so an adaptation, for example, is if I do this movement. If I keep my feet back here and I don't allow them to glide forward on the bed, it means that I'm going to have to hinge up. And then at this point, I'm going to have to stay there. A lot of instructors say to the client, keep the legs dead still, don't let them move. But physically, it is literally impossible. As you roll back, if you're going to pull that pelvis through, and we always, what we teach our clients as well is whenever we're going down, what takes us down? It's actually gravity. And the only thing that's happening here is we're resisting gravity with the use of our abdominals. And what do our abdominals do when they resist gravity? Well, they pull our pubic symphysis. They pull our pubic bone because they're attached there. So as I roll down and it pulls my pubic symphysis through, my feet naturally glide towards me. Also, when I roll up, I have to push my lower back into the floor to get me to go up. And that creates that curve in the spine. And why do we want that deep curve? Because that's when we use our rectus abdominis, our blocks, to their most concentric form. And that's when we really start strengthening them. So we look at adaptations of the body as well, natural adjustments, so that when you're teaching, it makes sense. Joint ranges, we teach you joint ranges. How far can you take your leg behind you before your pelvis has to change? What is a natural joint range? How far can you take it forward? And then as an instructor, you'll be able to see when other instructors are expecting the client's body to do something that it is physically incapable of doing. Getting your leg behind you as far as you can, reach, but keep your pelvis still is not possible. Because if that client is trying to get that leg far behind them, like you're asking them to, they have to tilt their pelvis because they only have 15 to 20 degrees of being able to take the leg behind them. And if they're tight in the front of the hip there, then they don't have those 15 to 20 degrees. And that's where that client-specific understanding comes in. Also, compensating in a movement like that, we know that when a client takes their leg behind them there, they always want to arch their back. So they want to go into that arch in their back. So we teach them when that leg is going behind you, did you know that your abdominals attach onto your pelvis? So as the leg goes behind you, if you hold onto your abdominals and they pull that pubic bone and they keep it there, you won't have to go into that arch. And why do you want to do that? Because as soon as I pull this leg back and I stabilize here, the work is so much more there, and that's what we want. The other thing that I want to tell you that we do focus on in Pilates Unlimited is to get these to work better. So a lot of times we've been in many courses where this is hardly mentioned. It's so little. There's like maybe 2 or 3 exercises where they focus on glute max, getting the glute max to work better. And we can see what the effects are all over the world. People aren't looking so hot in their glute max because they never work it. They always just sit on it or they work the hamstrings. So this is a great cheat for this. When I want to do any kind of hip extension or leg training, I can easily go to my 3 hamstring muscles and ask the body to just take over and use that and not use the glute max. So we also look at how can you get your clients to get into their glute max in the specific exercises that we're going through. Right, so let me just go on here. Does anybody else have any other questions? Is everybody totally fine? Let me just quickly go down here. Right, okay. So I think that that is summing it up. Let me just quickly do this breakdown. If you wanted to go ahead and do this, and I mean, there's no pressure, it's your choice, we won't hound you, you would go onto the website. You would literally go to the Pilates Unlimited mat course. Choose which option you want. You want to pay it in full, you want to pay it off for, I think we've got 2 months, 3 months, 6 months or something like that. And then, even though you've chosen to be able to pay it off, it will appear in your My Courses immediately when you've done that first payment. So then, once you've gone through PayPal, you can immediately go back to the website and click on My Courses, and it will be there. That whole course will be there for you. Go to your emails, you will receive an email with a link to the manual. You download that link and print it or open it on your iPad or wherever you want to follow the course from. And then it tells you exactly how to go through the steps. When you go into My Courses and you click on the Pilates Unlimited mat course, it's going to say to you, the how-to guide, student resources, how-to guide, print the how-to guide, and it's going to tell you everything. And then you're going to start with video 1, video 2, and you just follow it in your manual. We taught the course straight from the manual, so you can't get lost. And every video is labeled Module 2, Video 3. So you'll know exactly where you are when you open the manual and you start watching the video. And then you'll be like, okay, cool. So now I've watched all of the videos. Let me go back to student resources and see what's there. I want to print a body assessment form because I want to try a few body assessments on people because we've now learned how to do it. Or I want to go do some observation videos. Let me go watch some observation videos. And all of it is in there in your My Courses. You just have to go play around. And then when you think you're ready and you've studied, you just go in and you say, start the exam. And you do the online test and it will give you your results immediately. And when you pass, which is 70% and up, then you say, okay, I'd like to do the practical. And then you go to your how-to guide. How do I do my practical? you film the videos, you upload it to the Dropbox folder that we give you, and that's it. We mark it, we send you the results, sorted. It's as simple as that. Okay. Right. Cool. I don't think there's anything else left to say because I can talk.
So one can do the written exam as many times as you want. I mean, as many times as you need if you don't get 70%.
Yes, you can do it more than once. We do have other exams as well. So we would prefer you obviously not to just do the same one over.
Same one.
But yes, absolutely. You can definitely do it more than once. One thing that I do want to tell you though, is I think everybody gets so nervous of doing a course like this, especially when I tell you what's in it and you're like, what? I just want to be a Pilates teacher. I promise you, you're going to be a Pilates teacher and then somewhere down the line, you're going to go, I need more. I want more. I feel underwhelmed. Rather feel overwhelmed. I always say to our students, if you feel overwhelmed, you got worth every single penny that you paid for this. I've had students that I thought this is really going to be tough. I'm going to struggle to get them to where I think that I really would love them to be for themselves, because it's not for me. I'm not going to be having to pay their bills. They have to pay their own bills. But my whole point is that you can really make a career out of it and you can pay your bills at the same time. And we give you a lot of stuff on work ethic, setting up your studio. That's super important. And the mistakes. Everybody who's had studios for 20 years has made loads of mistakes. So just ask me and you'll never have to make those mistakes ever. So yeah, I think we've made all of the mistakes, but we've also, the whole point is not to make them again. But when you then decide that you want to do this and you think, geez, I don't know, this woman's going to teach me so much info. I just want to be a Pilates teacher. Always remember that you are going to get to a point where you're going to want more. And then you're going to have to go and pay more. So that's been my journey, having to pay loads and loads and loads along the way. And how many courses have I done that I've walked out and thought, a whole Saturday's gone and I learned like one thing and it cost me so much, not happy right now. So that's happened a couple of times. And I think if you're nervous, then you can know that there is no pressure. This is something else. If you want to go and do the course, you don't have to finish it in a month. It's your time. It's when you're ready. It's about you doing it when you have available time. So if you go and take it now and you decide, I only want to finish this in a year, I don't have to say to you, oh no, you now have to redo the course like we would get, because you can. You just go back to your videos and you watch them over and over and then you say, okay, I think I'm ready now. So it's really been put together nicely. So if you're thinking that you don't know if this is for you, it seems a bit like it's really intense. I promise you'll get it. Even the anatomy, we explain it in such cool ways. I remember Taryn phoned me and she said to me, so I've just watched the biomechanics course and I really understand what dorsiflexion and plantarflexion is. Why? Because you say dorsi is up to the door and plantar is down to the plants. So we've always got these little ways and quirks of being able to tell you how to remember your anatomy. Something that I just want to say is one last thing, and then I'm letting everybody go, is we teach you anatomy in a way that you will remember it. So we don't say bicipital notch of upper humerus. I always say the only people that I really want to know exactly where it is the people who must put it back there. If you take it off, you put it back exactly where it came from. But for us to understand movement, I want you to understand that subscapularis is under the scapula, and it covers the whole border of that scapula and it attaches to the front of your humerus. Why? Because then it'll make sense to you that it will do that movement. So you can rather get the movement and the visual in your head versus the exact scientific point of everything. Okay. Fantastic. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to be off because I'm going to teach now. If you have any questions, you're absolutely welcome to pop us an email. If you're struggling with anything, you can pop us an email. If you struggle to use the website, you can pop us an email. The only stupid question is, the question that you didn't ask. That's the only stupid one there is. All right. You must have a wonderful day, morning, or afternoon further, and I hope to see you guys again.